Hello everyone, I have a question for you. Can you say which number is greater among these two numbers? Yes, just by simply looking at those numbers, you can say that 43 is greater than 23. Let's write this in the form of a statement. When we write this in the form of a statement, that is 43 is greater than 23, this statement we all can understand, but in a C programming language or any programming language, the compiler does not understand the meaning of the phrases like is greater than or is less than. Here comes the concept called relational operators. C uses some specific symbols known as relational operators to perform comparison between the values. Operators are used between two operands to perform a specific task. Here, relational operators are used to compare between two operands, that is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, greater than, less than, equal to, and not equal to. These are some of the relational operators that we use in C most of the time. So by using these relational operators, we can make the compiler understand the meaning of the phrases like is greater than and less than and many more. Comparison statements. Now in the previous case, instead of writing is greater than in words, we can use a symbol or a relational operator that is greater than instead of the complete phrase. So now where are we going to use these relational operators? We are going to use these relational operators in if else statements like condition statements. If this relational operator is true, then perform this task. And if the relational operator returns 0, perform this task. So for this, instead of saying relational operator results, let us say it's a condition. Now, if the condition is true, then do certain task. And if the condition is false, then do certain task. So for that, we are going to introduce if-else statements. So by using relational operators, if-else statements, we are going to solve the problem of finding the maximum between two numbers. Now let's start coding. But before doing that, we have three conditions to solve this problem. First is case 1. Number 1 can be greater than number 2. And the second case is number 2 can be greater than number 1. And the third case is if number 1 is equal to number 2. So by keeping all these three cases in mind, we are going to solve the problem. Now let's go into the coding session. Now let's start with writing a command that is maximum of two numbers. And let's write the preprocessor directive that is hash include stdio.h, that is standard input output header. Hash include we write because we need to include all the libraries. That is the reason we use hash include. And let's start the program by int main, from where the program actually starts. And let's take variable. Okay, let's write a command first. This is initialization. No, it is declaration actually. We are going to declare a variable before initialization. So here we are going to declare a variable. Okay, declaring variables of data types int. Now let me take a data type int and variable name as number 1, and second number I'm going to take variable as number 2. And for storing the maximum number, let me take another variable that is maximum and end with a semicolon. Then let me give a prompt. Let me give a comment that is input the data from the user. So for that I'm going to give a prompt that is printf enter. Make sure that you write the first letter caps so that it looks much more formal. Enter the values of number 1 and number 2. And a semicolon, colon, and end with a semicolon. and then I'm going to scan the elements, that is using format specifiers percentile for int, and going to give an address, that is first number should be stored at address number 1, second number should be stored in address number 2. Let's write another comment, that is condition. Here we are going to write the if else condition, that is using relational operators as we have studied earlier. That is, if number 1 is greater than number 2, then perform a task, that is print percentile d is maximum, that is comma number 1. Yes, now give a semicolon and come out of that loop. Sorry for saying it's not a loop. Come out of that curly bracket, and then we are going to write the second condition, that is if number 2 is greater than number 1, then we'll enter into the if block, that is print. We are going to copy the same statement and paste it in the second block of if, and we are going to write, like, instead of printing number 1, here we are going to print number 2 as maximum. And let's write one more if else, because we have 3 cases. Like case 1 is number 1 can be greater than number 2, greater than number 2. And next case 2, let's write the comment about the if block, number case 2, that is number 1, number 2 is greater than number 1. And third case is case 3. Let's write a comment, case 3, that is number 1 is equal to number 2. Next we'll enter another if block, that is if number 1 is equal to number 2. Here we are going to use double equal to, that is if you write only one equal to, that is assignment operator. You are assigning number 2 value to number 1, but here we are not assigning any value, but we are comparing. For that we are going to use equal to symbol for comparison, whether if two values are equal. Here we are going to print if both are equal, we are going to print as both the numbers are equal. So we are going to print both are equal. Then we'll come out of that block and write return 0 and complete our program. Let's run the program and find out the output. Yeah, you can see the outputs. Let's enter the values 43 and 23. Yeah, we got the output as 43 is maximum. Now let's try this program in another method. If we know that the user is not going to enter the values equal, means if he is entering distinct values, then no need of using the second if block statement. So instead of that we are going to use if else statement. So we have removed if block, and now no need of cases, because we already know that the user is not going to give same values, he is going to give distinct values. We are going to use if else condition. So for that, oh, we got an error because of the syntax. Okay, now let's run the loop and give the values 43 and 23. So we got the same output. 43 is maximum. Now, if we don't want to give print statements, we have used another variable, right, for maximum. So let's use this maximum variable. So for that, instead of printing that statement in the if block, we are going to print it out of those if and else blocks. So for that, we are going to assign number 1 value to maximum if the number 1 is greater than number 2, and we are going to copy the same statement and paste it in else block, and we are going to assign number 2 value greater than number 2 value to maximum, and we are going to give the printf statement after else block. That is, we are going to print the maximum instead of printing the printf statement like this number is maximum or that number is maximum in that if else block itself. So here we have started printing that printf %d is maximum, and I want to print only maximum. The variable maximum will be printed and return 0, and let's run the code. Yeah, it is asking for the enter two values. Let's enter 43 and 23. Yeah, we got the same out. We have seen three different methods of finding maximum of two numbers. The concepts we have covered here is relational operators and if else statements. In the next coming video, we'll be talking about the maximum of three numbers. Thank you.